So this talk is basically going to be a platform for me to talk about myself. So sorry about that. My name is Evan Machnic, and I work as what's called a panda at Engine Yard, which basically means I work with customers, bring them on board, and help them deploy their applications. I also do professional services work. So if we have a client that maybe they don't have the resources or time or whatever, and they need to do something on our platform or whatever, then they can contract us to do the work for them. The main thing I want you to take away from this talk, if you take away absolutely nothing, is that you cannot do everything. So of all the people with kids, who actually has a job? All right, yeah, a lot of people with jobs, so that's good. If you're a student, that's cool too, because a student and have kids, like I did that, and it's basically a full-time job times 2. Real quick, a little bit of background about myself, so you kind of get an idea of where I'm coming from. I am not a typical programmer. I'm 31 years old, which may be ancient by programmer standards, right? I also have a wife. This happens sometimes, but I live in Daytona Beach, which is not really the technology hub of the world. If you've ever been down there, it's more about surfing and doing absolutely anything besides programming. And I also have 2 kids and 1 on the way. So basically, it's going to be 3 kids pretty soon. Anybody know this guy? This is, this guy can code all day long. He looks pretty happy doing it, right? Nice and happy. He's your 20-something-year-old typical programmer. That's not me. Okay. My typical day begins with getting up about 6 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes I get to hit the snooze button, but usually it's up pretty early. And I get both of my kids ready for school. This involves, getting kids through the shower, dressed. My 6-year-old has to be to the bus stop by 7:10, and heaven forbid I get there late and have to actually drive him to school. My 2-year-old has to be to school by 8:30. So if I don't get the older one to the bus stop on time, then the entire morning is screwed up. So from 9 to 5, I actually work my day job. And this is where I work in Engine Yard. I take about an hour lunch. At 5 o'clock, everybody's back home, from various pathways, and I make dinner. I love my wife, but she knows about 3 different meals. So if it's not me cooking, then we're probably going out for dinner. But after making dinner and everybody eating and cleaning up and all that kind of good stuff, we wrestle with the kids to try to get them to bed for, as long as it needs to take. And if you've ever tried to get little kids ready for bed, it's like fighting to get to the shower, fighting to get your clothes on, your pajamas on, and trying to get them actually into bed and then asleep is a feat unto itself. So finally, we try to get them down about 8 o'clock on a good night. After that, then it's quality time with my wife, which happens for about an hour, hour and a half until she passes out because she's pregnant. And that's when my personal development time happens. This is I get to read a book, or I might do some programming. I also do videos for Code TV, so that's also my time where I get to do that kind of stuff. And I usually hit the bed about 11:30, then get up and do it all over again the next day. So while I do have a pretty good routine going on, most days that's actually me. I'm gonna tell you a story, and it's kind of not one that I've told before, outside of basically my wife. But I was fired from my first job, right out of college, 2009. I get a job for an internet marketing company down in Sarasota, Florida, which is right south of Tampa. Have you ever seen these one-page ads with like diet pills and that type of stuff, where it tells you to buy stuff? It's amazing, all that kind of cool stuff. This is the crap that we used to build. I used to sit hours a day coding HTML, PHP, classic ASP. Anybody remember that? Scary stuff, right? So I was not like your model employee. And by any stretch of the imagination, I was probably not a great employee at all. One day, my wife takes my son to go to a doctor's appointment, something kind of simple like that, and I have to be there. So I take my lunch break like normal. I say, you know what, I'm going to go to lunch. I'm going to go to the doctor's appointment. It might be a little late coming back. That's fine. What should be fairly normal thing ends up taking a couple hours, right? And at that point, I said, you know what, I'm just going to take the rest of the day off. And this was kind of the thing with that job, is that I consistently put the needs of my family, even if I didn't need to be there, first. And my job is the one that suffered. So January 2010, I get the pink slip, which is always fun, especially when you've moved your entire family to a place for a specific job. Okay, so like any good, respectable developer that doesn't have a job, or a real consistent job, I became a freelancer. Is anybody a freelancer here? Like, does freelance work? How hard is it just to get going initially, right? Much less to actually pay the bills. Get enough money, enough jobs, enough money coming in to actually pay the bills. For about a year and a half, I did this freelancer gig. I picked up a couple of jobs here and there, but I mean, it suffered from the same exact thing that the last job did, where I constantly I try to put my family first, and then my work would suffer. I'd be behind on work, and I just never could find that actual balance. Okay, and have you ever been in this situation where you think that I can work with a kid at home, right? That's not an effective way to actually work and be able to churn out good work. So I did that for about a year and a half, and that's when I got hired at Engine Yard. And this was in June 2011. I got hired at Engine Yard as a Panda, and at this point, I had that inevitable come to Jesus meeting with my wife. I said, look, you're working full time. I'm starting a new job. We both have to be able to be successful at our jobs, but we also have to, put the needs of our family in there too. So, I mean, it was a lot, when you've adjusted to one way, and then all of a sudden you bring in somebody and you both have a job, and you're kind of competing for, whose job takes precedence for when this kid is sick, or when this kid has to go to the doctor, many different appointments throughout town. So we put my son in full-time school, and with a lot of time and coordinating and stuff, we finally got to a point where both of us were doing well. We had like a good routine going. So after that, how did I figure out the balance of work and life? And this is kind of the tips that I have kind of picked up over the years of kind of how I made that happen. And while this is going to be different for everybody, but I hope you pick up something from this. So family time, I think, is one of the most important things. You have to I think a lot of times you have to actually schedule family time. And I know it kind of sucks in this day and age where you have to say, I have to block out time. And maybe you don't have to block it out on your calendar physically, but I mean, this is distraction-free time. Okay? No emails, no Twitter, Facebook, all that kind of stuff. You actually have to take the time and be with your family without all that crap coming in. And I'll tell you, the Do Not Disturb feature on the iPhone is a fantastic idea. I also, pair with that, and there's also an extension for Google Chrome where you can actually pause your Gmail inbox, and then it will unpause in the morning. If you set it like that, you can set it to schedule that. So what I do is 5 o'clock hits the day, I pause everything, and then in the morning I wake up and flood of emails. But that's okay, because I'm paid to check those emails at those times of day. I don't need to be checking them all day long, when I'm supposed to be doing other things. It's coordination. And this kind of goes with your wife. You know, you've got to figure out a way that everybody knows what's going on at all times. One of the biggest things is sharing the responsibility. And this is kind of a hard thing, I think, for guys, because we always want to take on everything and do everything ourselves. But you have to be able to say, you know, I can't go do that errand, or I can't go do this and this. I need you to do that. And I mean, may have some fights every now and then about that, but you've got to be able to, there's got to be some give and take here, and you've got to be able to share those duties and the responsibilities with your spouse. And one of the ways that we kind of make it work is shared calendars and like meeting invites and stuff. So, you know, if she has like a hair appointment, you know, this happens once a month probably, then I will make sure to put that in my calendar, because I know she won't. But I will invite her, so at least we both know what's going on. We do the same thing with our, you know, kids, like swimming practice and surfing lessons and all that kind of stuff. So you get, you know, the shared calendars have been a big thing, and also reminders and other, you know, different types of lists have shared lists. So we use that for like grocery lists, which is great, because if I'm out, you know, on lunch sometimes, and I'm right next to the grocery store, I can just go ahead and pick up the stuff real quick on the way back home and check them off there, and then we all know what's going on. We all know, you know, that we have the stuff. So it's one of those nice things to be able to do these days. Exercise is a big one, and probably none of us gets enough exercise. But like we talked about earlier with, you know, the healthy program and everything, being sedentary is going to kill you. Okay, you have to get up and you have to do something. All right, even just taking a walk. Like I got a buddy at work that, you know, he'll take 20 minutes in the morning and just go take a walk. And it's nice that we have the freedom to be able to do that, but then you come back in and, you know, it's good to go. This is what I like to do. I love paddleboarding. And I just, you know, my 2-year-old is just old enough to where he can actually stand on the paddleboard. It's kind of scary at times, so we're not that deep. But this is a blast. I mean, this is a full body workout. I get up, a lot of times I get up in the mornings before, you know, I tell my wife, I say, hey, look, I'm going to go out paddleboarding tomorrow morning. So I get up in the morning, before work, before everything's going on, about 6 a.m., I get up, get the paddleboard on the car, I go out to the intercoastal usually, because it's nice and it's like glass in the morning. And I just go out there. I go out there for like even 15 minutes, man. But it gets me, you know, it gets my blood going, and, you know, kind of clears your head too, you know. Rest is another thing that if you're not getting enough rest, you're doing both yourself and your employer a disservice. Okay? There have been plenty of studies that show that work productivity increases with paid vacation time. So if you're an employer and you're not giving your employees paid vacation time, that's terrible. But I mean, if you're an employee and you haven't taken your vacation in like 2 years or whatever, you need to seriously block out some time and go somewhere and don't even think about programming for a week. I'll tell you, man, that's one of the things that kind of, it'll really give you a new perspective. And you come back to work after that week and you're like, wow. And you feel refreshed, and you can actually get back and you can do stuff. So having adequate rest, you know, even something as little as like going to sleep like 30 minutes early, you know, can make a huge difference. Secluding myself, this, you know, it's more for like people that work from home, but you can kind of, you know, do different types of things if you work in an office. You know, headphones are a good thing. But like with me, a lot of times I'll have the kids at home at certain times of the day, and, you know, I'll just have to, I have my garage, just kind of my little place where nobody comes out, you know. And normally I work throughout the day, you know, in the house, and that's fine and dandy. But if I actually need to, you know, get real work done and like hunker down, then I go out to the garage and nobody comes out there. It's nice. So that's one thing, you know, and that's really going to help you. And also consistent work hours. So if you're working and, you know, you say you get on at different times of the day and you work, you know, for a couple hours, you know, take a break, whatever, come back a little later on, you're never going to get into any kind of flow where you can actually do your work, from day to day. So having the set work hours and letting everybody know that, from 9 to 5, I'm working, okay? If there's an emergency, house is on fire, come let me know. But that time, I got to get my work done, okay? That's key. And then having some me time. And this is nice. So Sunday mornings, I like to get up, and I'll make breakfast and play the ukulele for a little bit. Go out I have like a nice like swing in the backyard, and I'll go out there, and that's where I'll do, I'll sit there and I'll play the instrument for a little while and just kind of get away from everybody. Being able to take that time for yourself to do things that you want to do for you is huge. It can make a world of difference when it comes to actually balancing out everything. Duolingo? Anybody play with this? I take my dog out back, and he goes to the bathroom, and I sit there and I learn another language for like 15, 20 minutes a day. But I'll tell you, man, it's nice. I'm getting going a little bit here and there, but it's a wonderful way to kind of keep your mind working, and I'm doing things for myself, but still let the dog out, so get that taken care of. And here's another good idea. Reading on the toilet, like if you have no other time to read during the day, dude, I keep a book, my iPad in the bathroom, and this is me like, a couple times a day, because you're going in there. You might as well have some, interesting stuff to read. And I mean, I'll tell you, like, even a couple minutes a day just kind of gets everything out of the way. So all of these, the big thing is just to make small changes here. You can look at all these tips, implement like 1 or 2 of them at a time, okay? And then as you kind of work those into your routine, add some more, make some more time. I said, go to sleep, 30 minutes early, or, set yourself like 15 minutes earlier to wake up and do something before everybody gets up. So those little changes are going to help over the long term. So I'm going to kind of leave you with a quote from David Allen that I really like. And take this home, chew on it for a little while, and think about what it means to you. You can do anything, but not everything.